Architecture is coming up with a concept which you're able to sell to a client in order for the building to get built. How did I get such a high grade at university? A top grade. And bear in mind, in my undergrad, I got a 2-1. I didn't get a first. How did I do it? I learned how to sell, guys. I learned how to sell my idea to the point where I had my tutors hooked. My tutors believed my project could be a real thing. My tutors understood the importance of my story and my narrative to the point where they believed that it was worth such a high grade. That's what architecture is. Architecture is coming up with a concept which you're able to sell to a client in order for the building to get built. That's it. If you cannot sell the importance and the story behind your project, you will never be a good architect. And this I've learned from university, and I've learned it in professional practice. When people are creating bids in architecture companies, they have specialists in that companies who are bid writers, who know how to write about projects, who know how to sell projects in order to win the project. You have to be able to sell your scheme to the project manager, to the quantity surveyor, whoever is in charge. You have to be able to pitch yourself to the client or whoever it is that is investing or has appointed you. You have to be able to sell your project so that everybody in that room believes we need to build this building. This building is needed in our community. This building is needed in our society. And a lot of people in architecture school can't do that. You learn how to do that. You're trained on it. From year one, you start doing presentations. And the people that are good are the people that are able to get everybody hooked. I remember it so well in 3rd year. There was a girl who was a bit older. She had a project on water and she had the whole studio listening to her present. The project was good. Let me not lie, the project was good. You know, it was like this organic water waves, Zaha style thing. It was good, but we were all listening to her and the way that she used her model to sell it, the way that she referred to her visuals to sell it. It was her, you know. Of course, if you left the project on its own pinned up, people would probably go over and be attracted to it and everything. But being able to have that sprinkler magic to get people interested in what you're saying is very much part of this storyline. And I think that that's what worked for me. I did that through my portfolio. I had a portfolio book. I had a book that I made that when it came to the graduate show, I was talking people through it and they were really interested. When I was creating the visuals, I made sure the visuals were designed in a way that it felt like a story. It felt like an African story. Everything, the fonts, the narratives, everything was cohesive. It was holistic. You know, you can't have like a brutalist type font. I want to show you guys the book. You can't have a brutalist type of font if your project is about, you know, fairies and wonderland. You know, it has to make sense, and that's part of the branding part, you know, which you learn as an architect. You know, in your portfolio, if your project is about like an out of this world sort of experience, make sure that the fonts that you use, the letterings and the paragraph style, the portfolio design is cohesive with that. I'm going to attach a project that follows that really well and also did really well. And you can go onto the Reba Precedent Medal website to see these projects that tell a good story. And if you guys really want to know how to tell a good story through your project, then message me and I'll help you guys out. But I think that's the key to getting a first at university with architecture, I can't lie. And obviously it's not just the presentation day, but it's also when the tutors look at your portfolio and they kind of flick through the pages. Are they able to understand your project from flicking through? If they're still confused as to what it's about, that's not a good sign, guys. You know, I should be able to scroll through your your thesis or your final year project very quickly and get a basic understanding of what you're trying to communicate to me. And if your portfolio is all over the place, then I'm going to be left confused, and the tutors will be left confused, and the feedback will probably be something along the lines of like, the project was not communicated effectively. And how do you communicate? Obviously through drawings, through floor plans, through elevations, through visuals, and be very intentional about the visuals that you pick, about the render style that you do. Are you going realistic, or are you going cartoonish? Are you going fictional? Are you going hand drawn? You know, what sort of PNGs, what sort of people are you using to represent your designs? Really be like super tasteful. And I know it's hard, because coming up with the idea and the concept is one thing, but being able to sell that and make sure that the project is, you know, holistic in that way is hard as well. But if you want a good grade, you kind of have to be able to distinguish when to stop designing and when to think about presentation. And I definitely did that. There was a point where I stopped designing my building, and I'll be honest, the building wasn't great. The building wasn't great. It was like a fish facility in Ghana, but the story behind it and the way I sold that story throughout the portfolio, I think is what led me to do well, and what led a lot of other people to do well. And I wanted to film this because I always get questions about, how do you tell a narrative? How do I get a first? How do I do well in architecture school? Learn to sell your project. Learn to use images and visuals and your drawing. That's my 2 cents on how to get a first. It's all about how you are able to sell your scheme to get everyone hooked. And there's then more to it, which I can break down in another video, but those are my thoughts. I hope this helps.